tomato plants that I am planting in this bed, this whole bed is going to be tomatoes, are Morrow tomatoes and Roma tomatoes, and they're a determinate type, which means they grow to a certain height and then they stop. They're a bush variety of tomatoes, and they say that you're supposed to plant them 18 to 24 inches apart. However, I am going to be doing some intensive gardening in these beds, and I'm going to be amending the soil and adding in composting material or fertilizer like rabbit poop. Also, I have some fish fertilizer that I can utilize as well. So because I'm going to be feeding these plants nutrients and enriching the soil, I think I can get away with planting them a little bit closer together so that I can plant more in this bed. So what I'm going to try to do is plant 3 or 4 in rows over here on each side, and then I'm going to maybe plant 1 or 2 in the middle. I don't know. That's, you know, last year I had a small, like, it was kind of a triangular shaped raised bed, and it was much smaller than this space, and I had like, gosh, 6 or 7 tomatoes like all squeezed in there, and they did fine, you know, but I also fed them and watered them and took care of them. So I mean, you know, I'm gonna try to squeeze as much into these beds as I possibly can get away with. So here we go. I'm gonna just mark kind of where I want my tomatoes to be real quick, and I'm gonna do about 1 foot apart. You know, and I might, that's about 1 foot apart, so I might be able to do this right here and get away with it possibly. So maybe 5 there. And then I'm also going to plant some marigold flowers intermixed in with these tomatoes to kind of help ward off the bugs and the dreaded hornworm, tomato hornworm. I had one of those, I actually had one of those get into my tomatoes last year, and I tell you what, overnight it decimated all of my tomatoes. Ate all of the plants, the tomatoes that were growing, all of them. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to try to space this out a little bit better. I'm just eyeballing it, you know. 3 and then 4. I think we could do that right there. So, all right. If you watched my seed starting videos, which I'll put right here, these are the tomatoes that I sprouted from seed earlier in the spring, and then I had to transplant them into these cups because I didn't have these raised beds ready yet, and they were outgrowing their little seed cells that they had grown in, and I really feel like they will take off and hopefully grow now that I'm going to give them a permanent spot to go in. So if you're new to gardening or you've never done it, yeah, I'll tell you, I'm not an expert. This is only my 2nd year gardening. Not an expert at all at this, and really I just dug in and made a garden last year and put stuff in the ground and learned as I go, and it's great because you can totally do that, you know, with gardening. It's not something where you have to be expensive or you have to know everything. You see if I can coax this thing out of here. Oh, there it goes. See, look, this poor baby is root bound because it's been in there. It's just growing in circles. And give it some freedom. Freedom! After I get these planted, I'm going to water them real good. And I'll probably fertilize once a week. And hopefully these babies will just love it here and take off. That's my hope. Anyway, as I was saying, you know, you can be complicated with gardening, but it's not a complicated thing. Man has literally been putting seeds in the ground and growing stuff for eons now. So, you know, don't be intimidated. You can totally learn as you go, and you may have some mistakes. Oh gosh, there's 3 of them in this one. I forgot about that I did that, and they're all like root bound, and I feel bad. So I'm trying to just gently work them apart as much as I can. Try to salvage as much of the root as I can, because I don't want to damage them. These are smaller too because they were all in that cup. So I feel bad. I think I ran out of cups, and I meant to like re-transplant them, and I just didn't. I forgot about them. Whoops. But I'm not an expert at gardening. I just love doing it, and I'm passionate about growing my own food. And you know, you can do so much with just a little. And so I encourage you, you still have time. If you're in my area, at least, you know, we have a pretty long growing season, so you still have time to kind of, you know, plant some seeds and have a late harvest. You can totally do that. All right. Feel so bad that I neglected these little babies. I hope they take off now, that they're going to have their own little place to grow. But if you don't have a yard that you can use to garden or to make a garden, you can get containers. You can do a container garden. You can plant in boxes. Not hard, and you can totally do it. Aroma. And so I'm gonna kind of go over here, and I'm gonna use kind of, you know, whatever I planted to kind of guide me, so to speak. Also, you know, I was thinking, you know, we're trying to build a self-sustaining homestead, as in, you know, a homestead that provides its own water, electricity, food. But, you know, you don't have to be off-grid to homestead. You can totally homestead right where you are. Homesteading is just simply living a more self-sustaining life. So you can garden right where you are and preserve your food. You can, you know, it depends on where you live. You might be able to have some chickens, so you have meat and eggs. If you're out in the country, you can definitely homestead. It's so easy, you know, get you some animals. I've seen people homestead. I'm gonna put these here. I've seen people homestead on like an acre or less, and they have a thriving, self-sustaining little operation. So you don't have to do what we're doing it on the level that we're doing it. So don't look at us and be like, oh, that would be intimidating. I could never do that. You know, we did kind of a crazy thing and jumped into it first. Even when we were living in town, before we sold our house, I was still trying to practice self-sustaining living to the extent that I could. You know, I lived in a area in a town that had a POA, and their rules were ridiculous and strict. I couldn't have chickens, you know, that kind of thing. So that's why we wanted to move away and get out to the country where we can kind of just do what we want, you know, and live the way we want to live. So, all right, let's get these other babies in here. I call them my babies, and I'll tell you, I talk to them too every day when I water them. Kaylin came by one time when I was watering and talking to them, and Kaylin's like, are you talking to your plants? And I'm like, yeah, I do that. I talk to them. I'm weird like that. So I'm just digging a hole large enough to kind of set these in, and then kind of gently putting the earth or topsoil around it. Oh, here's another Roma. This one's a big Roma. Those three, I hope they do something. If they don't, I've got more tomatoes, honestly. I ended up with, gosh, almost 100 tomato starts. And the reason that I did is because when I started seeds, I put like 2 or 3 in each seed cell, because just in case they didn't germinate, you know, give a better germination chance, I guess. And look at that. But they all came up, every single one of them. And I'm not the kind of person, you know, I know I've read like you should thin your seed starts and, you know, blah blah blah, but I can't throw them away. I was just like, well, they're all growing, I can't kill them, you know. So I put them in these solo cups and kept them all, and they're all growing, you know. So that's how I ended up with almost 100 tomatoes. I have more tomatoes than I can plant in this particular bed. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the others. I might put them in the ground over there in the other area, garden area that I showed you, in the other garden area that I showed you. But at any rate, yeah, I've got a lot of tomatoes. And really, I want to plant them all. I think it'd be awesome to have a major, huge tomato harvest. I just have a hard time giving up on them because I grew them, you know, from seed. They're like my little babies, so. My maternal instincts kicking in, I guess. Okay. Now, what I was thinking is I would put one there, there, and there, like kind of offsetting where these others are going. And, you know, it might be too close together. I don't know, but we're going to find out. I'm going to learn the hard way. I need to dig a hole. Okay. So maybe right here. I hope these guys just really take off once they get in their forever home here. That would make me so happy. We made our raised beds this high and this as deep as we did because there is something that we're trying to implement and practice on our homestead, which is called aging in place. So we plan to be here probably for the rest of our lives. It's a lifetime investment that we're doing here. It's a lot of upfront work and money, but this is going to be it. You know, we're not going to move again. We're going to spend the rest of our lives here. You can even just bury me out back. I don't care, you know. But the reason we made these raised beds so high is because, you know, I'm young now and I can plant in the ground and I don't have any problem being active or bending over, but you know, give me 20 or 30 years, I might not be as spry as I am right now, and so I may not want to bend over so far, or maybe can't bend over so far. I don't know. I'm hoping this lifestyle will keep me young and in shape and active and limber, you know. That's the theory, but you know, I'm sure, you know, I'll start feeling my age as I get that old, you know. And so we made them this high so I don't have to bend over so far. Like when I get in about 30 years or something. And I'm trying to do with my garden this year, because I don't have all of the raised beds that I really want, you know, to fill the entire garden area that I plan on. eventually having, because we just ended up with these. My goal is to concentrate on fewer types of vegetables in these beds and more quantity, so that I will have a big enough harvest to hopefully can or preserve and set back for the winter. And so I'm hoping that I can produce a lot of food. I told Scott, you know, we might get tired of green beans, but we'll have lots of green beans, we won't starve. So that's kind of my thought process there. Okay. That's why I want to plant the other tomatoes too elsewhere. So gosh, this looks good. I'm so happy. This makes me happy seeing all my tomatoes finally in this raised bed. All right. Okay, so I've got some marigold sprouts that I will plant intermixed within here as well, and they should help keep the bugs away. So that's my plan with that. And I'm gonna give these a quick water. This is my favorite thing, working outside, gardening, growing things, watching things grow. I'm super, 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 super happy. This makes me happy here. And after I make sure that they're gonna take to their new place and they're gonna be okay, then I'll give them some fertilizer maybe here in a week. Whew. Grow, tomatoes, grow. All right, should be good. So let's move on to the next bed. Okay, I'm gonna plant some green bean seeds now. Our raised beds no wider than 4 feet. That way you can easily reach in and get to the middle of whatever you've planted there. So, oh, I dropped one over there. Now I can't remember where I stopped. I don't know. Do I have a green bean here? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Whoops. So I'll go ahead and plant one here, and then if I get 2 green bean plants that pop up, then we'll know that I did a boo-boo. Rock I don't want in here. All right, and that's our green beans. These guys are cucumbers, and I feel really bad because they're probably stunted in growth at this point. They need to come out of these cups. I'm hoping that they'll grow bigger. And I mean, they've got 2 or 3 blooms on each one, so they're trying to make cucumbers, and I just couldn't get them in to the ground before now. So let's do these. Okay, it says to thin or transplant these 1 foot apart. So I think we're gonna start right here. And I really hope that they will get bigger. I'm sure they're root bound. Come on. Come on, little guys. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Completely root bound. Poor guys. I'm so sorry. Here I go, talking to my plants again. There. All right. There we go. They smell cucumbery. It's so funny. And I'm gonna plant more to finish this row out. That's what I'm gonna do. Gorgeous day out. Yesterday we had a thunderstorm that rolled by and we got a little bit of rain, so I didn't have to water the plants. So I'm grateful for that. And these cucumbers are a 55-day crop, so I'm gonna go ahead and plant some more. One more right there. Okay. Now for the rest of this bed, there is going to be, we're going to make a trellis out of 2 cattle panels and T-posts to attach these 2 beds on the insides of them. And I'm going to plant some vining plants like some squashes, pumpkins. I've got some snap peas over there that are vining, and they've just been in the container without anything to like kind of crawl up, but they're blooming right now. And the peas are not going to last too much longer because it's getting too hot, and usually they're like a cold weather crop. I think their growth was a little bit stunted because they were just in the pots, you know, rather than being in the ground or something. And then in the middle, I'm going to put some garlic. Okay, I've got some garlic that I had started. I actually bought it from the store, and you know how sometimes the garlic you get from the store will start sprouting? I saw that one was, so I decided to plant it and see what happened. And this is what happened. So they say to plant garlic about 6 inches apart. So I'm gonna probably do this right here. Oh, sorry, garlic. I didn't mean to just toss you in there. There's Freya. All right. So I'm also going to plant more garlic and some red onions that I started in the opposite bed over there on the side where the trellis isn't going to be. And then once those are harvested, I plan on planting cool weather crops this fall in these sections as well, like radishes, carrots, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go get those snap peas, and we're gonna go ahead and plant them so that they're planted, and then once we get the cattle panels and the stuff for the trellis, then we can put that up. But let me go grab those. I planted these poor snap peas. Well, I started them. I planted the seeds and started them when I thought we were going to have all this already done with the trellis, you know, so that I could put them in the raised beds. However, this is them. They are these poor babies. They're trying to grow and connect to each other, and because that's what they do, and I feel really bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the ground. They are blooming. We'll see what they do. But my goal is to have the trellis up within a week. So that's kind of my goal here. I just got to see if I can get these babies out. Yikes. Come on. It's deep now. Okay. His little root doesn't want to give up. There we go. Right here. All right, we got those guys in. All right, so I'm going to plant the rest of the garlic that I have here in this bed, and then I also have some red onions that I started that I'm gonna fill the rest of the bed with. So let's get started. Okay, that's all the garlic that I have sprouted. I've got some other garlic bulbs out there that I bought on clearance at Walmart, and they haven't really done anything yet, so maybe they were duds. I don't know. I'm gonna keep them in the solo cups though and see if they sprout, because I don't want to waste any space that I have in my raised beds for something that's just gonna not do anything. So I think at this point I'm gonna water what I have, and then I'm gonna start working on red onions. I've got probably about 50 red onion plants that are starts, and I'm worried that their growth is stunted because they've just been in those containers for so long, tiny little spaces. But I mean, I still have some in seed cells, but I'm hoping to get them transplanted here. And then of course, like I said, I'll have, you know, some vining plants here on the edge to grow up into the trellis that we're gonna build. So I think that's where I'm gonna leave you for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I've enjoyed talking to you and just kind of sharing this time. I love gardening. This is fun to me, and I can't wait to see how these things grow and progress. And I'll be giving you, of course, different updates throughout the growing season. I'm sure you'll see for yourself, you know, how everything is doing, and I'll be sure and show you my harvest. And you know, if you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel and liking the video. This helps us out a lot. You know, it's just really encouraging to know you guys are coming along with us on this journey. So until the next time, see ya.